We have glyphs because this is the way our ancestors wrote through in glyphs, and our writings were destroyed. Um, our elders of wisdom were killed when the invasion came. But things that were written in a stone in the caves, that remained. That couldn't be destroyed. We have some glyphs that show, it tells us the origin of the culture. Not of us, because we were created here in each place where we live. But the culture, the teachings came from the stars, from the Pleiades. We have 4 prophets or masters who came to teach, and they were Balaam Kiche, Balaam Akab, Mahakutah, and Ikbalam. When they finished teaching all the traditions and building pyramids, establishing centers of observatory centers, and teaching everything that needed to be taught, then one day they say, children, he said, don't forget us, keep us alive in your minds, because we had given you good teachings, we had given you good advice. He says, teach it to your children and to the children of your children. He says, because our days are up, our days here, they were counted. Our light is gone, so it's time for us to return from where we came from. And one of them asked, he said, grandfathers, and where did you come from? And they responded, he says, from that little bunch of stars, and that's where we're going back. Well, in the glyphs, it shows that sometime later, they return, and they return to the area around Egypt. And when they came to the area of Central America, they were called Mais or Atlantis. Later it turned into Maya instead of Mai or Atlantis. When they came to Egypt, they were named Karamayas. Then they established the culture there and went back to the stars. And they returned to the area possibly around Cambodia, someplace in Asia or China, and then they were named Mayaches. And in the glyph shows that the first time they come, and they came to some place in India, and they were named Nagamayas. And this is why because we have the same teachers, the same prophets, the same masters who brought our traditions. So there is a similarity. Like in every place we have pyramids, sometimes in a little different shape, but we have the pyramids. We all have in our tradition the serpent. The Mayas, we have the rattlesnake. In Egypt, they have the coral. In India, there is the cobra. And in China, is the 7-headed serpent. The way we interpret the 7 heads is representing each one of the senses, the 7 senses that we have. And so now that when we do these gatherings, it's like we get to know each other. And then we compare, not comparing, but we are, through sharing our tradition, we see that we are the same, with very small differences, which is what makes us different, gives us that individuality. Like we have our own way of dressing, we have our own language, we have our own way of preparing our foods, and this is the one thing that we need to conserve, because it's what Creator gave us to each one of us. When we say, if we start cooking a food that is not our food, You know, only because we saw it in the internet and we got a new recipe, we're gonna do this, and we start eating like that, that's when one gets sick. So my recommendation to you is that each one in their own tradition, not to lose what is ours, not to lose the language, not to lose our dressing, our way we dress, and stay with our foods. And this brings us health, and it brings us joy, and knowing each other is like we come to realize that we all are brothers and sisters.